Now back home to our top focus. 2 days after Maratha activist Kaka Sahib Shinde committed suicide in Aurangabad, the Maratha quota war continues to rage. As the stir enters day 3, Mumbai is all set to become the site of protest. Protesters have called for a shutdown in Mumbai's Palghar, Thane, Raigad and Navi Mumbai areas. Meanwhile, Ahmednagar, Aurangabad highway have been blocked, which in fact the blockage has now been lifted. This after the protesters said the decision was taken in public interest but does not imply that the agitation has ended. Protesters, however, maintained that the blockade on the entry of ministers in every district will continue. Remember, just Tuesday, Shiv Sena MP Chandrakant Kaire, who came to attend the last rites of the deceased protester Kaka Bhai, was heckled by the protesters. The Marathas are demanding 16% reservation in jobs and education and have claimed that only this agitation will stop once Devendra Fadnavis gives in.
जो सरकार जो मराठा आमदार है उन्होंने मराठा समाज के लिए कुछ भी नहीं किया आज तक। इसके लिए पूरा मराठा समाज उनके अगेंस्ट हो गया है। जब तक इस सरकार और पिछले सरकार दोनों ने जो आश्वासन दिया था मराठा समाज को, हम तुमके आरक्षण देंगे, वो आरक्षण कोर्ट में नहीं टिका।
महाराष्ट्र सरकार ने कुछ तो अनेक सुविधा अनेक मांगनी पूरी की हुई है, ऐसे मुझे मालूम है। पर मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ अपने चीफ मिनिस्टर ने सब जो मराठा समाज के लिए जिन्होंने जो क्रांति मोर्चा में जो है उन्होंने सबको बुलाना चाहिए और त्वरित एक वॉर फुटिंग लेवल पे 1-to-1 मीटिंग होनी चाहिए।
The government should have taken a cognizance of that agitation on that time itself. I think the government was little bit lethargic on this issue. The people are expecting too much and we are giving some assurances which are not being fulfilled. Now the agitation has taken a violent turn. I feel it is the most dangerous thing now.
All right, let me introduce my colleagues, those who are joining us from various parts in Maharashtra, to give us a sense of whether the situation is still calm or is it in fact violent protests are taking place. We'll be joined by Mayuresh, who is joining us from Nagaon area in Mumbai. Mustafa is live from Chennai, in fact, Plaza Cinema in Mumbai. We are also being joined by Kamlesh Sutar from Aurangabad, the epicenter yesterday of this entire protest. Before I go to my colleagues, let's very quickly tell you what are the key demands. What is it that the Maratha, now the quota warriors, are fighting for? Let's just quickly take our viewers through this key demands from the Maratha quota warriors. Now, demand number 1. They are saying that 16 to 17% reservation for Marathas in jobs and education is what they are asking. Now, demand number 2 for the quota warriors now is the death for rape of the Maratha girl in Ahmednagar. They want immediate, death sentence for the accused. Now, they also want amendments to the SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989. This is also a big flashpoint in Maharashtra. There have been, remember, Koregaon, where they were, the Maratha versus Dalit fight that went on, that struggle that went on, and seeing that, it is going to be one of the major flashpoints. The announcement of unconditional loan waiver for Maratha farmers. They want a loan waiver separately for the Maratha farmers as well. So these are the key demands that they are in fact agitating for. Higher minimum price for Maratha farmers. So not for all farmers, but for Maratha farmers, they want special concessions, more funds for the betterment of the community through cooperations. So these are the key demands that the Maratha quota agitators are in fact have called this agitation. Third day of this agitation, ordinance for reservation to call off the agitation. This is the ultimatum that has been given to in fact to Devendra Fadnavis, and this is exactly what these protesters are demanding for the last 3 days. So now we know what these demands are. What is the situation on day 3? Let's quickly get across to my colleagues, those who are joining us from various locations in Maharashtra. Kamlesh, I want to start with you first. Aurangabad, the epicenter. What's the situation today? Yesterday, we also saw some vehicle which was torched by the protesters.
Well, indeed, Ankit, Aurangabad is calm today, peaceful rather, if you can say, and the vehicular movement itself behind me is an indication that the situation in the city has come back to normal. In fact, yesterday the streets in Aurangabad were deserted, though the epicenter of the agitation where the protests were taking place at Gangapur was 50 kilometers away from Aurangabad, but still the city felt the brunt of it as vehicles were not plying, schools had declared holidays, educational institutes and offices were deserted yesterday. So today, as you can see, the vehicular movement here is normal. Now, coming back to the agitation, yesterday evening when the district administration came to talk to the protesters sitting on the bridge of River Godavari in Gangapur, there were several things that were discussed between them. The first thing was there should be no cases that will be arbitrarily taken against the agitators, and that's why they have said that they are stopping the agitation there at the bridge, but they will not stop the agitation, only the course would be changed. So we are expecting smaller protests, maybe dharnas, taking place in different parts of Aurangabad and Marathwada.
All right, Kamlesh, thank you so much for joining us with all those details. Mayuresh, what's the situation where you are standing? Is there any, congregation which is threatening to hamper the normal life where you are?
Ankit, so far you can see the traffic is very much normal, so the life is also normal over here. But what we have been given to understand is that from 10 a.m. onwards, all the Maratha community people will gather at different points. So Dadar Chitra Cinema, or the Chitra Talkies, is one of the point where right now I'm standing in Naigaon area of Dadar. So here at 10 a.m. they will gather over here and they will try to do a protest. But Ankit, I remind you that this time when a meeting happened, they clearly said that this will a very much silent protest, and they have requested all their members, all the community members, not to take a law in hand, not to trouble anyone, and carry out a peaceful and a silent protest. So what we saw in Aurangabad, certainly the organizers don't want the same thing to repeat happen.
They don't want bad publicity of what happened in Aurangabad yesterday, and that is what, in fact, as of now, is being taken care of. Mustafa, is situation normal where you are, or is there a view different from what people are where Mayuresh is? Mustafa, can you hear me? All right, we seem to have lost that audio line with Mustafa. We'll try and reconnect with him. Meanwhile, this is, in fact, the top focus here on the burning question, and we have our political guests to give us more perspective on this quota award. But let's take our viewers through what we are asking on the burning question today. Question number one. In fact, that we want to put out today is, do Marathas even need reservation? They are the dominant community. Why are they now agitating for reservation? Are political compulsions tying Fadnavis government's hand? I mean, is that why they are in a bind? Is this why Devendra Fadnavis has not been able to decide on what he wants to do? Shiv Sena versus BJP versus the opposition, all in on the Maratha reservation demand. And by instantly giving compensation, is the Fadnavis government glorifying suicide victims? 25 lakh rupees, remember, have been given by Devendra Fadnavis. And can Fadnavis government even give Marathas the reservation? We will be talking about all these questions. Let me quickly go across to my guest on the show. We are being joined by Sanjay Jha of the Congress Party. We'll be joined by Shaina NC from the Bharatiya Janata Party. We'll also be joined by Vijaya Krishna. He's a supporter of Shiv Sena. And Kamlesh will be with us to give us more perspective on this story. Let me start with you, Shaina. Why is it that the Fadnavis government as of now has not been able to address this issue? Why do we see that these agitators, these protests do come back after a period of time? What is taking so long for Fadnavis to decide what he wants to do?
Well, there are over 73 Maratha organizations that have given in their so-called demands. A commission has been set up that is monitoring and looking into every avenue. Now, on some of their demands, the government has been very successful, whether it is providing over 70,000 jobs to Maratha youth, or it is a question of them wanting loan waivers, which has already been announced by the government of the state. But I think the larger question which we need to understand is Maharashtra has 52% reservation already. Now, if you view this in totality, the government had moved in 2014 that there should be 16% reservation for Marathas and 5% for Muslim subcastes. Now, when we went to the High Court actually knocked this down and said that if you do this and if this reservation does go through, the remaining open general category will be only 23%. Despite that, we are trying to ensure that all their demands are met with. We must understand that in a state like Maharashtra, where you have 13% reservation for scheduled castes, 7% for scheduled tribes, 19% for other backward classes, 2% for special backward classes, 3% for the Vimukti Jati. For the nomadic tribes in 3 categories, you have 2%, 3% and 2.5%.
I completely agree with what you're saying.
That makes it a total of you have to have a constitutional provision.
I completely agree with what you're saying. But is this where Sanjay Jha? Is this where Sanjay Jha politics is coming into the play? You can't give them reservation with the current constitutional provisions, with already you're exceeding the limit. Then why are you playing with these sentiments? Tell them in no uncertain terms, we can't give you reservation and move on. What is this entire drama of we are trying to talk, we are trying to sort this out, and we are still talking to you? Why is the government not making it line clear?
Ankit, let me tell you, there are 2 aspects to the entire protest being done by the Maratha community. The first is obviously the ghastly incident that happened, but as far as the job quota or the education quota is concerned, the real problem seems to be that there is a great degree of economic stagnation across the country. Link it to the larger issues of why the Patidars and Patels protested in Gujarat, the Jats in Haryana, now the Marathas in Maharashtra. Now you have raised a very pertinent point. These have all been overall better off communities in the past who have seen an erosion in their livelihood, dip in their wealth, and they have had to struggle for survival as well. So you have a situation today where the problem is aggravated on account of a very mismanaged economy. Jobs have totally vanished, and I think communities that were earlier more self-sustaining are now being pushed to the periphery of requiring a government bailout. Now, this is the reality. This is the hard economic reality that we cannot ignore or escape from. Now, the issue is very clear that when these protests are happening, it's the reason behind them is because the government of Mr. Devendra Fadnavis has dilly-dallied, been disinterested, and has allowed it to, reach this kind of an alarming level before they are reacting. Now, think about it. It's 4 years since Mr. Fadnavis made the assurance that we will push it through the courts, and they have done nothing. And now there is a massive recruitment of 72,000 jobs happening in the state, and the Marathas feel they have a legitimate grievance, and they are expressing that. I'm hoping that it won't become violent and lead to arson, etc., because that's terrible. But there is no denying that this government is caught napping again. They have not been able to maintain law and order.
Yes.
Exactly what happened in Bhima Koregaon earlier.
Yes.
They knew it could get out of hand, and they were unprepared and totally out of control.
Vijay Krishna, at this point of time, the Shiv Sena seems to be indulging in very dangerous politics. Your MP yesterday went to the spot where this person had committed suicide. He was heckled, he was thrown away by the people. What is it that the Shiv Sena is trying to do as far as this entire agitation is concerned? Is it the 30% Maratha vote which is driving the Shiv Sena to in fact side with the protesters?
வாழ்க வளமுடன் தியாகிஜி. வாழ்க வளமுடன் தியாகிஜி. Firstly, I would like to offer my condolences to the family of Kaka Saheb Shinde, who jumped into the river Godavari and ended his life. And my advice to the youth is, we're the followers of Chhatrapati Shivaji, who had fighting spirit. So what I'm saying is, we have to go for a creative protest until our demands are met. So I would like to come to the core issue of reservation. Tyagiji, I humbly disagree with you if you want to call Marathas or the Maratha caste as dominant. They are not dominant. The sole reason why today the so-called general category people are fighting, it is because of the lackadaisical policies that have been taken all along the period. So it is equally NCP, Congress, BJP responsible for this malaise. So what we should do, because merit was killed during the Mandal Commission report. Merit was killed. They gave a twisted understanding of merit. Today these people are fighting for their own existence. So we have to
can this
get
fight,
into the nitty-gritties
followers
of the situation,
followers of Shivaji, can they burn public property down? Can they burn public property down? Can these protests be violent?
One second, sir. I also congratulate Maratha Kranti Morcha for assuring a peaceful protest
that they should avoid?
And I would like to say, please give an opportunity, sir. This is very much valuable. This will be a peaceful protest, and Shiv Sena is always for providing reasonable reservation facilities to Maratha community.
Okay.
And Faduni Sarkar went back on 12,000 jobs assured as per 16% reservation. When you are bothered about nikah halala, triple talaq, even though there is no pertinent demand from the Muslim community, why don't you straight away provide reservation through an ordinance? Ordinance is the solution. They're asking for an ordinance.
But
please
that
provide
will be shot down. The Supreme Court ceiling already has put it at 50%. You are already over the ceiling. And let me very quickly go to Kamlesh, my colleague who's joining us. Kamlesh, just give us a sense.
Nothing is
the point here is, and this is what Sanjay Jha was also making, and somewhere Shaina also wanted to push this point. The fact remains that all this drama is more or less a political drama, because Marathas are a dominant community as far as the politics of Maharashtra is concerned. 30% of the state population. Is that what is keeping this entire political circus alive? Because ultimately, you know it very well, the ceiling is, the reservation in Maharashtra is already over 50%. Where is this reservation going to come from?
Yes, in fact, Ankit, everybody, in fact, everyone involved in this entire game of reservations, political parties and the stakeholders perhaps, they know the fact that this reservation demand, meeting this demand is not going to be as simple as it looks, or protests are not going to solve this issue. To be fair to the Maharashtra government, Devendra Fadnavis has made it clear that they are trying, and they have went to the court and also to the SC/ST Commission to find a way out. But Devendra Fadnavis, if Shaina NC would agree with me, 2014 when the quota stir was on its peak before the 2014 election, it was BJP and BJP leaders who were siding with the demand. Even that's not only reservations, Dhangar community, one of the again a sizable community in Maharashtra, it was BJP that was perhaps leading a few of its leaders for the quota reservation, quota within quota for the Dhangar community in the scheduled tribe category. Now perhaps today BJP leaders like Devendra Fadnavis and Vinod Tawde, who are actively participating in those agitations, perhaps will be getting the taste of their own medicine of when it comes down to giving reservation and actually implementing it, making an announcement and actually implementing it down with the Supreme Court cap of 52% reservation. It's not going to be as simple, and then this hollow promises by politicians perhaps to milk the political opportunity to score brownie points over each other. This perhaps leads to protests like this, and sometimes what we saw yesterday, the protests literally go out of hand and people are on the street and there is loss of valuable life.
You know, Shaina, I want to, in fact, pick up two things as we go ahead in this discussion. Number one, Devendra Fadnavis was extremely quick to label the person who committed suicide as a martyr. 25 lakh compensation has been issued by the state government. Aren't you glorifying these sort of extreme steps in such protest when you are in fact going ahead very quickly, despite knowing that there is nothing as of now that you can do about it? Rather than talking to them, rather than showing them reason about the cap on the quota, you giving them 25 lakh rupees, there will be more youth who will be tempted to take this step.
No, I don't think that there is any case of glorification. If at all, it is empathizing and understanding that the Marathas in the current scenario want questions answered vis-a-vis their, status economically, their opportunities of jobs, etc. So now I don't think that we should try and make this into, oh, why did your government compensate? If we hadn't, you would have questioned why we did. That's not the point. You cannot put a tag money to the kind of dedication that these people have for their cause, and in a democracy we welcome that.
Shaina, I'm sorry, is that the case? Is that the case in everything that in the state of Maharashtra? Please tell me how many farmers of Maharashtra, those who have committed suicide, have been given 25 lakh rupee compensation? Shaina, no, it's just not, you can't sugarcoat it. Please tell me how many farmers in Maharashtra, those who have committed suicide, have been given 25 lakh rupees. You are doing this keeping in mind the Maratha vote, nothing else.
What is their demand? No, I think that if at all this, the people who are propelling certain people to take law into their hands in the campaign is a political campaign, is a political strategy, is a vendetta. But I don't want to go into that. I just want to say, what is their demand? Their demand is for more jobs. The state government has announced 72,000 jobs for Maratha youth. They have asked about changes in the SC/ST Atrocities Act, which is being looked into by a commission as well as a legal department. They have talked about loan waivers for farmers of the community, which has been announced by the state government. So it's not as if our government is not sensitive to it, but the reality lies in the fact that 52% of reservations in Maharashtra are already given to scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, OBCs, nomadic tribes, etc.
Okay.
So if we have to make a constitutional provision, then where does that actually take the open and general category? Not even 23% is left. So we have to come up with solutions that work for
and those solutions,
to
Sanjay
no community, but justice
those
to every
solutions,
community.
Sanjay
so
have to be minus the politics.
Who are trying to make a political
Shaina, you are doing the same. Every political party, including the government involved, is doing and trying to get some brownie points as far as this entire agitation is concerned. It's you can't take a high moral ground on that. But Sanjay Jha, two quick points that I want to understand from you. When the government and when Shaina NC says that we already have promised them jobs, where does the Congress stand as far as the Maratha quota agitation is? Make your stand very clear. Does the Congress want the 16% quota for Marathas or not? And number two, isn't there double speak on the part of the BJP? Here she is saying that we are looking into the amendment in the SC/ST Atrocities Act. In the Supreme Court, after the agitation from the OBCs and the SC/STs, they said that we don't want any change. The Supreme Court should take that decision back.
Well, I can tell you there is a very inherent brazen contradiction in the BJP spokesperson's comment, and I think on a very sensitive issue they should know what they are trying to make as a commitment, because this can have very, very, I would say, negative repercussions at the ground level, because end of day I think you're going to make communities collide with each other. But I think BJP is probably playing a very dangerous politics there. As far as the reservation issue is concerned, I want to make 2 points, Ankit, very quickly. What you're witnessing today is not just about jobs and education. This is largely a manifestation of huge rural distress. Remember, the young man who died, who jumped into the Godavari River, was a young farmer. Now what is happening is the farming community is finding itself completely, shall we say, below subsistence level. There are farmer suicides, there's not enough income levels, and they are now wanting to migrate to the urban areas for jobs. That is the real reason. I mean, when you go to the crux of the matter, it is basically telling you that the economic insecurities that are happening in the farming community in India is a serious endemic problem. Now, as far as the job quota is concerned, that is one of the reasons why the previous government passed an ordinance. We lost the election, but it was very, very important for Mr. Fadnavis's government to look for a political solution as well as see what could be done on the Indian Constitution. Now, they have done nothing for the last 4 years. You see, the reason why there is today a very alarming degree of anger on the streets, which they are trying to, however, contain, is because the government has looked the other side.
Okay,
so
but
there is an economic problem
in one line,
as well as there is a social
Sanjay, in one
issue.
line, please
But
tell
Mr.
me,
Fadnavis
does the Congress stand for quota or against quota?
From the first agitation itself,
Hold on, China, hold on. Let Sanjay make his position clear. Sanjay, please just tell me in one line, are you for Maratha quota or are you against it?
Well, the answer is very straightforward. We are the ones who actually moved the ordinance asking for, the 16% reservation for the Maratha community and 5% for the minorities and the Muslims.
Knowing very well
ourselves in 2014.
But Sanjay, knowing very well that there is already a Supreme Court cap on this.
Nothing.
China
this government has ignored it.
China and see the point here that not only Sanjay but also others are making is that this is a larger problem as far as not only the dominant communities, let's say the Jats in Haryana or the Patels in Gujarat. The problem is that the economic growth, which in every advertisement that Modi government and your state governments tom-tom, that don't seem to be percolating down to the level where the farmers and the people are actually getting the benefit. Ultimately, your policies are failing the people, and that is why you are seeing all of them coming out onto the road, where you have absolutely no option left but to indulge with them.
Firstly, our government has interacted with the Maratha agitation since the initial one which happened even prior to this, where the government, Devendra Fadnavis, met with them, understood their demands, and we had an understanding that these are the things that the state government would provide. Now, coming to an agitation which is fueled by a political campaign is something that we can talk on another day. Right now, all I want to say is in 2014, when we went to the Honorable High Court and said that we should have 16% reservation for Marathas and 5% for Muslim subcastes, etc., the High Court struck it down, saying that you cannot do it when there is already a 52% reservation. So that is the view of the Honorable Courts. Despite that, the question of the ordinance has been something which has been considered by the state government. The commission that has been set up to look at the demands of the 73 organizations and Maratha groups, which include varied warring factions too. We have said that we will comply and look at the legitimacy of it and ensure where we can help, whether it is jobs, whether it is farm loan waivers, whether it is
the Fadnavis government. Is the Fadnavis government and the BJP in Maharashtra, as you are saying, you are looking into watering down the SC Atrocities Act? That is one of their demand. What is your stand on that? Because we have seen the repercussions all across the country. When this was done by the Supreme Court, the Modi government had to go to the court asking them to take it back. You said in the earlier answer that we are looking into this demand. What does that mean?
We are looking into it, but it is for legal experts to advise the state on it, and whether an amendment is required or not is part of the commission's job. So all the 5 demands that have been made by them is being looked into by the commission. As we said, we've announced these 72,000 jobs for Maratha youth, because that was something that we thought was absolutely essential and imperative for the limited time. Having said that, the farm loan waivers they want,
China, let me give you a fact check. The 70,000 jobs that you are saying have been announced for Marathas. Actually, you are misleading the people. The trigger, China, the trigger for this agitation is that the 72,000 jobs were announced without the Marathas being given, the reservation. China, don't mislead the viewers. These 72,000 jobs have not been announced for the Marathas. Their demand is that you have not been able to give them reservation in these 72,000 jobs. That is why this protest has started. So please don't tell my viewers right now that you have given these jobs to Marathas and they are agitating unnecessarily.
Whether you have educational institutes, whether you have educational institutes or government jobs, this is something that the government has said that we will, and it's more important to understand that if you have a segment which is fueled by a political party or a political campaign which is an underlying current to destabilize the state, Maharashtra will not allow it, because we have always been a peace-loving united state.
Right.
If you have issues, the CM is willing to address it, has addressed it, and the commission has been set up only for the demands.
Very quickly, Vijay Krishna, and I just can give you 10 seconds on this. If the government is willing to look into your demands, the commission has been set up, then why this hurry?
Sir, I would like to say in a nutshell, Fadwani's Sarkar has to immediately pass an ordinance providing 16% reservation to Marathas in educational institutions and in government institutions. This is the final one. When there was a Jallikattu agitation, there was an ordinance which was passed. So we are saying, please pass ordinance, if possible. You can also alter that 50% level mark for providing reservations. This is a Maratha issue. This is an existential issue of Maratha.
Sanjay Jha,
please respect the sentiments. Let this protest be peaceful.
In conclusion,
let us not encourage people to die
misled by the Fadnavis government? As Shaina was saying, they are yet to announce the quota as far as the jobs are concerned, which is the latest trigger. And how can this end? Give me a solution. How can this end?
Is directly responsible for aggravating the situation and creating these social tensions. The answers are very straightforward. One, you need to focus on job creation. That will take time, but they have been extremely lackadaisical for the last 4 years, but that is the long-term solution. The second point is, please engage in a political dialogue, bring all political parties on board and have a transparent discussion in terms of what can be done in the short term and the medium term. But this government is so arrogant, it doesn't make any conversation with the opposition parties. And the third point is, for God's sake, look at the fact that at the end of the day, there are certain special incentives that you can provide outside of job reservations and education quotas to give the community a boost to try and look for a better livelihood. I don't think they're thinking out of the box.
Right, Sanjay, I'm completely out of time. I will have to in fact close this debate at this point of time. Shaina NC, Sanjay Jha, Kamlesh Sutar and Vijay Krishna, thank you so much for joining me on this burning question. At the crux of this entire quota demand, we have seen how the Jats agitated, how the Patidars agitated, and the Hardik Patel in Gujarat. The dominant communities are now, especially the agrarian communities which have had traditional land holdings in various states, are now feeling the pinch after 70 years of reservations, of quotas to various communities where they feel they are lagging behind. The land is becoming sparse, and in that there are less jobs. Now they are trying to assert themselves. It needs a larger solution, not ad hocism. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on this burning question.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you would love to.